Today, I want to share a story about a 63-year-old man who underwent a drastic transformation from a docile husband to an alpha male after discovering his wife's infidelity. This story unfolded about 2.5 years ago and deeply affected the foundation of my family. While it's not about my own marriage, my husband and I have been happily together for 14 years. It centers around my parents, a 59-year-old woman and a 63-year-old man. They had been married for over 38 years, creating a life rich in love and shared memories. After retiring to Arizona 3 years ago, they embraced a lifestyle of travel, journeying from October to April and spending the warmer months with family in Utah. They owned a beautiful home by the river along with a new diesel truck and camper. Our family always looked forward to their visits. My husband even installed full RV hookups on our 16-acre property with electricity, water, and septic connections. Life seemed perfect by all accounts, but everything changed unexpectedly. In their Arizona community, there lived a woman named Josephine. To me, she gave off a certain discomfort, something I couldn't quite pinpoint. She was loud, obnoxious, and loved to party, which felt like an odd match for my mom, who typically enjoyed quiet, occasional social drinks. Though I had my doubts, my mom insisted that Josephine was harmless and had a heart of gold. Despite my reservations, my mom and Josephine became fast friends, and even some of my mom's other friends warmed up to Josephine's boisterous personality. It was a red flag, but my concerns were dismissed. Little did we know that this friendship would soon unravel the perfect life we had known, breaking apart the marriage my parents had built over the years. The tale I'm about to share serves as a cautionary one, showing that infidelity and betrayal are not confined to the young. It can happen at any age, and sometimes it's not just the younger generation who fall prey to forbidden romances. Josephine and Jen had planned to continue their evening out, but my mom felt tired and decided it was time to head home. Dad, always the understanding husband, agreed and brought her back. However, that's where things took an unexpected turn. As my mom settled back into our house, a palpable sense of discomfort lingered. She seemed distant, her mind elsewhere. When Dad asked her about the change in plans and the late nights, my mom hesitated. Finally, with guilt and anxiety in her eyes, she confessed something that shattered the image of the perfect marriage my parents had built for over 3 decades. She admitted to having an affair, not with just anyone, but with a man much younger than her, Josephine's friend, a so-called young gun. The news hit Dad like a ton of bricks. He listened, unable to believe what he was hearing, as Mom described the forbidden romance that had blossomed during their supposedly innocent happy hours. The excitement of the secret affair had ensnared her in a web of lies, and the toll was already showing on her health. But what happened next stunned us all. Dad, at 63 years old, showed a side of himself that none of us had ever witnessed before. He didn't react with anger or despair. Instead, he took it all in with calmness, absorbing the betrayal with the grace of a true Sigma male. The news hit our family like a fierce storm, leaving destruction in its wake. As Mom cried and confessed, Dad remained composed. The foundation of their 38-year marriage crumbled right before our eyes that night. While Mom begged for forgiveness, he stayed firm. He instructed her to take a shower, and despite her request to sleep in the same bed, he refused. The night was long, with Mom persistently trying to talk, but Dad insisting they would discuss things in the morning. By 5:30 a.m., Mom finally fell asleep, only to wake up at 8 a.m. and find Dad gone, along with his camper. Unbeknownst to her, he had quietly moved his belongings overnight, signaling his decision to separate despite the decades of marriage. Dad was resolute in his response to her infidelity. His professionalism in handling the situation was remarkable. He had left without disturbing Mom, using the sliding door to move his clothes and personal items into the camper. Mom, in desperation, called him repeatedly but received a text from him that declared their official separation starting at 6 a.m. that very morning. The moment she awoke to an empty bed, the realization of the divorce hit Mom hard. In a final call, Dad calmly reiterated his decision, stating that she would hear from his attorney once he hired one. He then hung up, leaving her in a state of disbelief. In a cruel twist of fate, Dad then reached out to Jenny's husband, the same Jenny who had accompanied Mom and Josephine on their outings. He informed him of Mom's infidelity, and in an unexpected turn, Jenny's husband locked her out of their home. Now, Jenny is staying with Josephine as they navigate the aftermath of their actions. Dad called my brother and me to break the news with a heavy heart. At first, we thought it was some kind of cruel joke, but as reality set in, we were overwhelmed with tears. The perfect family we had once known was now broken, and the pain of betrayal hung in the air like a bitter taste. It's been a painful week since the shocking truth tore apart the seemingly perfect life my parents had built over 4 decades. Mom's world has completely fallen apart, and she's been desperately trying to find Dad, who understandably has sought refuge away from the chaos. As my brother and I try to navigate through this heart-wrenching situation, we find ourselves faced with a difficult decision. Dad explicitly requested privacy, and we have respected his wishes. We know where he is, but we've chosen not to tell Mom. We stand firmly by Dad, recognizing him as a victim in this heartbreaking saga, but our worry for Mom is overwhelming. She's completely lost, driving hundreds of miles, consumed by anxiety and distress. We are deeply concerned for her physical and emotional well-being, and it's causing us sleepless nights. The question haunts us: should we reveal Dad's location to alleviate Mom's suffering? On one hand, I feel we shouldn't. Dad's request for privacy must be honored, and disclosing his whereabouts could undermine the trust he's placed in us. On the other hand, we can't ignore the urgency of making sure Mom is safe. One potential compromise that has crossed our minds is sharing a general idea of where Dad is without giving away his exact location, ensuring Mom won't be able to reach him. This might give her some comfort without betraying Dad's trust. However, the fear of damaging our relationship with Dad looms large. It's a delicate balance between supporting Mom and respecting Dad's boundaries. The weight of the situation is crushing, and we're torn between the needs of both parents. As for Mom, last night, she was in the St. George area, continuing her search for Dad. I managed to persuade her to come to our house for a few nights to rest. She agreed, and she's expected to arrive this afternoon. I'll keep everyone updated. Your advice and support are truly appreciated during this tough time. The last 10 days have taken a sharp turn, unveiling a series of unfortunate events that have left our family in turmoil. When Mom arrived at my home, she was visibly distressed and unwell. She expressed discomfort, so we let her rest. But then, an alarming cry from my youngest daughter led me to the bedroom, where I found Mom in severe pain, bent over and unable to move. Quickly, my husband and I rushed her to the emergency room, where she was diagnosed with symptoms of a serious infection, possibly a urinary tract infection. The doctor ran tests and began treating her for severe dehydration. To our shock, the root cause of her pain was traced back to a sexually transmitted disease, which she had contracted during the affair. The silver lining was that the STD was treatable with antibiotics. However, after 48 hours in the hospital, her condition hadn't improved significantly. The doctor speculated that she might have contracted a drug-resistant form of the STD, which has become a growing concern in recent years. Mom was placed on a strong combination of antibiotics. After 5 challenging days, her fever finally broke, and her condition stabilized, leading to her discharge from the hospital. But this ordeal has taken a severe toll on her, both physically and emotionally. During her hospital stay, she repeatedly asked about Dad, desperate to know if he had reached out to check on her. The truth was, he hadn't. No calls, no messages, nothing. I've been the intermediary, providing him with daily updates. My family and I have been a constant presence at her side during her hospitalization, but her emotional state continues to decline. Now that she's home with us, she's physically recovering, but her constant texts and calls to Dad show the emotional turmoil she's dealing with. Her frustration and hurt were clear in her voice, as she expressed the confusion and pain caused by the aftermath of a 40-year marriage falling apart. As she seemed to unravel, I couldn't hold it in anymore, and in a moment of anger, I lashed out. If you hadn't done this, none of this would have happened. You ruined our family. The words hit hard, and as soon as I said them, regret washed over me, prompting a swift apology. She broke down in tears, and instinctively, I pulled her into a hesitant embrace, both of us clinging to each other in the aftermath of our exchange. We spent over 2 hours talking, and in that time, she revealed more about the affair. The man she had been involved with, a 28-year-old construction worker, became the face of the betrayal that had shattered our family. The details surrounding their relationship were unsettling, especially the presence of his friends and the intimacy they shared while others engaged in similar behavior. I pressed her for more information, unable to wrap my head around the reality of my mother's actions. The discomfort on her face was unmistakable, a clear sign that she wanted to avoid the topic entirely. Yet I couldn't let it go. I needed to understand how she could betray Dad like that. Her responses were weak, tinged with remorse, and she struggled to explain what had driven her to do it. Disgust flooded my mind as I processed the shocking revelation. I had never imagined in my worst nightmares that my own mother would be involved in such a betrayal. She admitted that she didn't even understand why she allowed it to happen, expressing regret as soon as things began to unfold. I was thankful for her honesty, but the thought of Dad's potential heartbreak if she had remained silent and unknowingly passed on the STD to him lingered heavily in my mind. The weight of it all was overwhelming. I was caught between sympathy for her regret and the deep repulsion I felt toward the affair itself. As Mom clings to the hope that Dad will return, there's a crucial truth she remains unaware of. This Saturday, something that I know but cannot share will unfold. Dad, with unwavering determination, plans to serve her divorce papers at my house. His aim is to provide her with the support of family as he delivers the final blow to their once unbreakable bond. The coming days promise more turmoil as the repercussions of betrayal and the quest for closure take shape. Over a year has passed since my last update, and it's now June 2022. People have asked about my parents' situation, so I'm here to share the current state of things. Mom and Dad are officially divorced, a reality that still feels surreal. Dad, a man of firm principles, couldn't find it in himself to forgive her for her infidelity and severed all ties. The only meetings they had after the separation were during the divorce proceedings. Dad's swift decision to cut off contact was surprising, but it spoke volumes about the depth of his pain and the irreparable harm done to their relationship. Despite the emotional devastation, he ensured a fair financial settlement, treating Mom generously. Though it pains me to write this, I understand why Dad feels betrayed and needed to distance himself. Mom, in contrast, now lives in a small apartment nearby. Gone is the life they once shared along the river in Arizona with boats, jet skis, and a camper. Instead, she resides in a modest town close to her daughter, a stark contrast to what she had before. This dramatic shift serves as a reminder of what she sacrificed for a fleeting moment of thrill, a temporary happiness that ultimately turned into a painful betrayal. The aftermath has been different for each parent. After the divorce, Mom's health quickly deteriorated, leading to a hospital stay for bronchitis, dehydration, malnutrition, and severe depression. A 3-day hospital stay brought some stability with medication for her mental health, although a possible case of lupus emerged, likely triggered by the stress of the divorce and the loss of Dad. The doctor emphasized how stress could harm the immune system, potentially causing lupus-like symptoms. She was advised to take steps to strengthen her immunity and manage her stress. Mom's journey to recovery has been slow, but there's been some progress. However, she's not the same person she used to be. The toll of the entire ordeal is evident in her physical and mental state, serving as a reminder of the long-term impact of poor decisions made in a moment of weakness. Mom, who was once a strong figure in our lives, now appears diminished. A job I managed to secure for her at a craft superstore through a friend's managerial position has become a lifeline. She's doing well there and has earned praise for being a dedicated employee. But despite this glimmer of purpose, the harsh reality is undeniable. She's lost the comfort she once enjoyed, now dependent on prescription medication and battling stress that seems to have no end. Her new life in a small apartment near me serves as a constant reminder of the price she's paid. Now, let's turn the focus to Dad. He's embracing his newfound freedom, living like a nomad and exploring the country in his camper. Over the past 6 months, he's developed a relationship with a woman, and things appear to be getting serious. Although I've urged him to take things slow considering his recent divorce from Mom, He seems content. This woman is a young YouTube vlogger with a love for travel, and they share similar interests. They've been camping across the country together for months, and despite the age difference, their connection feels genuine. Dad reassures my brother and me that he has no plans to marry again, and his girlfriend, who has had a failed marriage, shares the same sentiment. Neither of them is eager to go down that road again. They found common ground in their shared love for nature and the outdoors. I'm deeply grateful for the support and advice I received during this difficult time. Your thoughtful responses and interest in my family's journey have meant so much. As a loving daughter, I share this update with a mix of relief and anticipation for what the future holds. Now, I leave you with a thought-provoking question. If you were in Dad's shoes, would you forgive a partner of nearly 4 decades for a sudden act of infidelity? Could you move past it, viewing it as a blemish on an otherwise happy marriage? Or would it be a deal-breaker that sparks a thirst for revenge? The complexities of forgiveness, revenge, and the emotions that arise in the wake of betrayal make for a compelling mental exercise.